Live fantasy draft, fantasy life championship on RT Sports. We got another live draft for you. Last night we did a future show. But with a big draft weekend coming up, we want to get another board out there for you guys to see. I think this league is most like a home league, or this site rather is most like a home league where running backs are going to go early in RT Sports. Seems to be the trend. So sit back, relax. We're going to go through 20 rounds here, discuss player values, ADP, bust sleepers, go over the board, draft strategy, all that. If you guys want to jump in the comments, anything you want to discuss fantasy football, feel free. We are here to answer anything you desire. But yeah, like, subscribe, share, and follow me on X at Fantasy Savvy. We'll come back. We'll have the draft board up, get you guys ready for this draft weekend as the season starts next Thursday night. Fantasy Savvy on X. Let's go. And there's the draft board. Let me blow it up a little bit. Cut off there. All right, that is better. Let me just see if that's like that. There you go. All right, so I had the third pick, and it's the usual order here: Jamar Chase, Bijan, Gibbs. That seems to be the set trend now. And again, you're getting guys that are doing a lot of these drafts, so it kind of switches things up because they don't normally get the one slot. So when they get that one slot, they want to get Chase because otherwise they're never going to get him. Whereas in a home league, you never know. I mean, could get Bijan going one, could get Gibbs going one. Certainly all justifiable. CMC could go one as well. I mean, you could reach up for Lamb, Jefferson, Barkley. If you wanted to get crazy and take Genty and be different, because you're not going to get them on the way back. So it's like, if it's one or two leagues and you want to get your guy, maybe get a little crazy. But this is the consensus order here for the most part with these three guys going. And then it kind of mixes up a little bit after that. Well, like I said, this site tends to go running back heavy, more so than the other sites. So it's more like it's more like your home league where the running backs are a little bit more favored, rather than best ball and some of these other sites like NFC where you start three receivers where the receivers are going to go more often. This format is quarterback, two running backs, two receivers, and two flex, one tight end, one kicker, one defense. But I mean, the trend this year more so is more running backs in general. I mean, if you took 2-3 running backs with your first three picks last year, you were called the boomer. And now that's switched up because the running backs had so much success last year, and we're starting to see these older running backs sustain success. The Derrick Henrys, the Kamaras, the James Connors. It's a different age. These running backs are not breaking down anymore. The treatments are better. They're not getting as big as workloads as they used to get. Some of the rules have changed, I guess. It's just everything is just different. I mean, these running backs seem to be more durable now. Josh Jacobs, another one. People are going after him. He's getting a little bit up there. I mean, 27 years old now, but that was kind of the age when 27, 28, when running backs started to fall off a little bit. The Clinton Portises of the world and whatnot. You're just not seeing that anymore. So, if you want to go after running backs early and often in any format, I'm not going to hate on you. running backs. We know they're going to get the freaking ball. And, they were getting some hate for a while, but they're back to being popular once again. All right. Don't really like this spot here. I don't really like what I'm left with in this spot. You know, Tyreek, AJ Brown, JSN, T. Higgins, Ladd. Ladd is not a bad one here. Um, Kyron. Some talk of now McVay saying, and the coaching staff saying Corum's going to get some usage early on. So it sounds like they're at least going to lay off Kyron a little bit this year. All right, I'm going to take. I'm going to take Ladd. Taking him over Tyreek, taking him over AJ Brown, taking him over JSN. Tyreek. I mean, again, he could still break fantasy. It sounds like he's going to be ready for week 1. I believe it was an oblique injury. It sounds like he's ready to go. Probably just monitoring him. AJ Brown, obviously hurt by the Philadelphia defense, maintaining leads. They didn't have to throw as much, finishing games with the run game. Does that change up at all this year with a new offensive coordinator in town? We'll have to wait and see. JSN, no more Geno Smith, no more DK Metcalf. Maybe take the top off the defense a little bit, open things up for him underneath. Sam Darnold comes to town. We've seen Sam Darnold under, bad offensive line play. It could be a little concerning. We saw Sam Darnold have a really good season last year, though, until the play, he crumbled down the stretch in that Lions game to determine the division and then the playoffs as well. So, but JSN, you'd have to think, especially after last year, he'll continue his upswing with his career. So I just kind of like Ladd a little bit more. I know they lost Slater. But then they bring in Keenan Allen. I'm not really worried about Keenan Allen, hurting Ladd's production so much. I'm not going to go too crazy on that. So, I really like Ladd McConkey, his route running, very, very crafty. So, second year in the NFL, I think he should have even a better season. So we'll see what we get here on the way back. Tyreek, JSN still on the board. Kyron's still on the board as well. Brock Bowers still on the board. Let's see what falls back. After I took Ladd, Lamar Jackson goes end of the second round. And A.J. Brown goes. And now Kyron Williams. Could also go quarterback here and take Josh Allen, which is obviously the safe pick. Sometimes these third-round picks can be a little iffy. But Brock Bowers still sitting here in the third round. Normally he's going in the second. I'm on the clock now. So Kyron and Kamara. So there you go. See, running backs go in this format. They just fly. So if you don't get them kind of early, you can kind of be left out, and they'll continue to fly. The question is do I want to go Brocky Bowers here, or do I want to go Josh Allen? I think all right, we'll take Bowers. I'll take him, early 3-3 in the third round. Again, we'll see what kind of running backs come back to me. I'm sure, I could still make it work. I like the start though. Bowers is a safe third round pick. Either him or Allen are very safe. Normally McBride is going in that third round. Bowers is usually gone in most formats by the second round. So I like it. Tyreek is, a little bit of volatility there. T. Higgins, he misses games every year. JSN, some questions now with Sam Darnold in town. They're going to be more run heavy as well under Kubiak, Garrett Wilson. Um, you know, I think he's going to have a really good year, but still some questions remain there. Terry McLaurin should be steady. Marvin Harrison, I'm not drafting. DJ Moore, that's Bowers is a very, very safe pick. People are talking about his numbers dropping off because his preseason usage. It's been a big talk, and I agree with the people that are dismissing that as. I mean, you can't. Why would they go away from a guy like Brock Bowers and incorporate Michael Mayer more? I mean, I guess if they really want to run the football a lot more, and they're keeping Meyer in the block. But I mean, even if that's the case, and Bowers, he's not going to get many targets or many catches, he could still finish with double-digit touchdowns, which could kind of even everything out anyway. After last year, what do you have, 4 or 5? So second year in the league, he's even more accustomed, better quarterback play. You surround him with Amari Cooper, who I think is going to emerge towards the middle, second half of the season once he gets incorporated fully. And also Jacoby Myers. So the Raiders offense did a future show last night. I took the over 5.5. And or 6.5 rather. I think it's 5.5, 6.5. Let me just double check that. 6.5. Yeah, I like it. I think they could get to 7 wins. So the Raiders offense should be pretty nice this year. With Geno Smith, with Tom Brady looming in the building, Pete Carroll giving that team some stability. A lot of playmakers. Even the rookies they brought in, I like Betch and Dante Thornton. I think both those guys get hurt by the Amari Cooper signing, though. Maybe not so much in the beginning because they're probably going to work Cooper in. He signed late. We saw that with the Bills last year as well. He went to the Bills kind of middle of the year. But in the limited time he did play, remember, he wasn't getting a lot of snaps or a lot of targets and a lot of touches because it seemed like he was kind of content with his role there. And the Bills, didn't want to, I guess, because he didn't understand the playbook as much. They just didn't really throw him in there. I mean, Matt Collins was running more routes than him. Keon Coleman was running more routes than him. I think Curtis Samuel was at times. So they didn't really use him, but if you watched him last year, I mean, he was running some good routes still. He was making some really good catches. So he's only 30 years old. I mean, we're still chasing Devontae Adams, 32, 33, Mike Evans, 32. Amari Cooper has, been one of the better receivers in this league. So, and he's also a crafty route runner. I mean, go back and watch the tape from last year against the Chiefs. He's schooling OJ McDuffie. So, one of the best corners in the league. So, I mean, he's still got it. I think people are just kind of, off of him because of what happened with the Bills and the way he finished there. But you have to remember they weren't really using him because he signed late. And now he's going to have a whole season to work with the Raiders. That's why I think by like week 6, I really think he could be a factor in the offense. And, probably jump over Myers as well. So I think he's a good late round value in drafts. I don't think he's somebody you should be dismissing if you're in a deep league or best ball as well. All right. Got a couple of people in the chat here. TS says week 1 flex, PPR, DJ Moore, McMillan, Devonta Smith, Montgomery. Let me look at that, man. I haven't even started thinking about next week, but I will get to that. Let me look at the schedule. And I'll give you my answer on that. I would, off the top, I would probably say Devonta, but let me look at that. Um, as we're still in draft mode here, we'll start, shifting towards week one. Although I'll be drafting all next week too. Week one is kind of crazy because you're still doing drafts, you're still trying to get ready for week one, and it's gonna be crazy. Between all the lineups you got to fill and the fab and survivor pools and pick'em pools. I mean, it's just insane. But yeah, I will get to that TS. I appreciate that. McConkey T is a toss up. I agree. I think I just go. I've been kind of switching it up. I think I have a little bit more T, but T again misses what 3-4 games a year. And he said go with Bowers, and I did, so I'm happy. Our boy Jamie is here. Says, "Sup, dude? What's up, man? Welcome back. Hope you're gonna have a good weekend ahead. Labor Day weekend. Good to see you." Hideout Wrestling says, "Hot. Oh man, yeah. I don't know what you're referring to, but welcome to the show." Jamie says, "Last ask next week. I have a start show going for 2 Sunday morning. That's awesome. Those Sunday morning shows are crazy. So many people coming in asking questions. A lot of fun for sure. I was doing those with the face off, but then it was just hard for me because I had so many damn lineups to fill out. So I had to kind of pass it up last season, and I think Hoff and some of those face-off guys will be doing. I won't be doing that show again Sunday, but it is a lot of fun. Definitely, you get just peppered with questions. So enjoy that, man. That's awesome. All right, I'll get back to TS's week one question. Let me just see what's. Let me just get through these 2 picks here, and then we'll open up the week one schedule, and we'll take a look. Josh Allen kind of going middle of the 3rd round, usual spot. Lamar kind of early, end of the 2nd. Usually, he's falling into the 3rd. DeAndre Swift in the 3rd round. Wow. Okay. That's not something you normally see. So Jersey Jinx goes with DeAndre Swift. Wow. That's definitely the earliest I've ever seen him go. Over Kenny Walker, RJ Harvey, Jimmy Connors, US Open. Anybody watching that? I'd like to watch it. I just haven't been able to get into it. I should have went up to New York, New Jersey this weekend. I was going to go up to a live draft in the city, but couldn't make it happen. But it would have been fun as hell because I could have went up there and drafted today. Draft at 10 o'clock that I'm in. I might have to do online. Then I could have went to the Jersey Shore for a couple of days and maybe tried to see the U.S. Open too. But I'm going to try to do that next. I'm going to go next year up to New York. So I just got to plan ahead. Couldn't find a babysitter, so I couldn't make it happen. But we'll be drafting live 10 o'clock. It's like a mini expo there in New York City. So lots of live drafts going on all day long, open bar, free food. So it's a good time. I'll have to do that next year. All right. We're up again. You know what? I think about it. It would have been nice to wait for George Kittle. I got to start getting more George Kittle. He's going to smash this year. Brees Hall's still sitting there. Jaden Daniels as well. Again, it's tough to take tight end and quarterback in your first, 5 picks or 4 picks. I mean, you really kind of hamstring yourself a little bit. Well, let's do this. Let's take Garrett Wilson here in the 4th round. Sometimes goes in the 2nd. I like him more in the 3rd, but if I get him in the 4th, I don't mind it. Again, running backs. We still have Brees. We have Pollard. Do I want to go double Jets here? Probably not. I mean, 1 Jet is usually enough, or 2 Jets is usually enough. Depending on who you're getting, if you're getting that stack with Fields, but I don't know if I want to go with all three. Kind of feels weird. I'm live streaming at 6 in the afternoon. It feels different. I'm usually doing live streams after like 9, 10 o'clock, and usually later, like 11 o'clock. A lot of midnight streams. Feels a little bit different. I don't know if I got to get used to it. I don't know if I like it as much. I kind of like the peaceful. My kids are still up. I can hear them screaming in the back. But Labor Day weekend, hopefully everybody's gonna have a good weekend with family, and lots of college football on this weekend, and hopefully you guys can get some relaxation, get some good time off away from the job, enjoy the beach or lake or pool, whatever, some body of water, get some sun. There goes Brees. I mean, Tony Pollard in the 5th round. I mean, you normally get him in the 7th. But again, this is a running back heavy draft. I mean, I feel like I need to grab a stable running back here. And Tony Pollard seems pretty damn stable to me. Isaiah Pacheco I like a lot too. I feel like he's going to have a nice season. I'm going to favor Pollard a little bit more here. With Spears out for a month, you got Cam Ward in the building, better offensive line. I could continue to pound receiver as well here. But there should be some receivers when I come back because of the running back. Although the receivers could start going. Let me just secure Tony Pollard here. I don't want to be left in the dust with this running back room. I did 2 of these so far. The first draft, my running back room was not that great. I have to remember what that is, but I just don't want to be left. So I'll take Pollard here in the 5th. All right, let's look at that week 1 schedule. And let's get back to your question, TS. DJ Moore, McMillan, Devonta, and Montgomery needs 1 PPR. So the Bears got Minnesota. Carolina gets Jacksonville in Jacksonville. Philly is taking on Dallas. Yeah, I think I like that. And the Lions are taking on Green Bay with Micah Parsons now. David Montgomery, although according to Jerry, the run defense wasn't as good with Parsons, so now it's better. What are your guys' thoughts on that trade? I mean, it's just wild. It's just, I guess it's saving some money, but you hurt your team for this year and, most likely for the future, unless you nail those 2 first-round draft picks. But man, I'm going to go with Devonta. I think against Dallas, that game could be a little bit of a shootout, maybe. We'll see what Dallas's defense looks like now. Trying to piece things together without Parsons. What is that Dallas team? How are they feeling right now in the locker room? So, DJ Moore, it could be like a mixed bag there. It's a really good defense there in Minnesota. We kind of want to see how that offense develops. On New Year under Ben Johnson and Caleb, how they're going to spread it around. And then David Montgomery, I think, it's not a bad one against Green Bay. He definitely could have like 60, 70 yards and a touchdown. That might be the safest pick. Ted, I'd like to see him too. I mean, he certainly could have a nice debut. But I think Devonta and maybe Montgomery are your safest picks. I think I'd go with Devonta. That's kind of what I'm feeling there. But if you wanted to go with Tet, I'm not going to hate it. I think the one guy I'd leave out is DJ Moore. But thanks for the question, man. Jose Rodriguez says, which defense between Cincinnati and Arizona? That's good. 2 good streamers. Arizona is getting the Saints and Spencer Rattler. And then Cincy is getting Joe Flacco, who, obviously could throw some pick sixes. But I'm going to go with Arizona. I think they're a little bit stronger. Spencer Rattler is not good. I think he played one good half against the Bucks last year, and all the other games he was terrible. So, and maybe Gannon's got he's the defensive coach. Maybe he's got them. Maybe got those players under that system a little bit better this year. So, I mean, they're going to be one of the most popular streamers. I would give the slight lean to Arizona there over Cincinnati. We don't know what Cincinnati's defense is going to look like. Lou Anarumo's out of the building. They're bringing a new coordinator. Anarumo was there for years. Obviously, their defense was horrible last year. So, let's wait and see what they look like. I think Arizona's a little bit safer there. Our boy Al's here. Says, "Sup, Steve? What's up, Al?" Debbie is here. What's up, Debbie? Good to see you. Hope you're having a great weekend. Planned this weekend for Labor Day. Hey, Steve, I'm at the end of rounds of the best ball draft now, and I appreciate the Cooper idea. Good luck. Yeah, I think Cooper is a nice pick. People are kind of forgetting about him. Now he's being drafted, in some of these drafts, but sometimes, people are going to forget about him. He could probably get, I don't know where he's going in best ball, but I would think, 16th, 17th, 18th round. You could probably get him. I don't mind clicking on him, especially with a lot of those names there. You just don't, they're all question marks. So might take Cooper a little bit, like I said, week 4, week 5, week 6, but that's the good thing about best ball is you can kind of wait for that. Sean Cahill says Pollard over Pacheco. Yeah, I think that's close, man. I do like Pacheco. Interestingly enough, both these guys suffered broken fibulas, and both those guys did not look the same the following year. Pollard, that last year in Dallas, and then last year Pacheco did not look the same, but I think Pacheco looks much healthier this year. He looks like he has that burst back. Obviously, he's playing in the better offense with KC. But I do think Hunt will work in a little bit in the beginning of the year, and in the pass game as well. We'll see what about Brashard Smith. He may develop a role later on. I don't know about Elijah Mitchell. I don't know what his exact role. I would think that Brashard Smith has the most upside. But Pollard also, he had 1,000 yards last year with, Mason Rudolph and Will Levis. And now you bring Cam Ward. The offense is going to be better. The offensive line is better. And you got Spears out a month. So there's really nobody else. It's going to be all Pollard for the first month. So it's very close. And I kind of like clicking on both of them. But I think now with the Spears out for a month, I think Pollard gets a slight bump, slight advantage for me in the rankings. But Pollard, man, good running back. Again, he just did not look the same, I think, that last year in Dallas because of that fibula. Same with Pacheco. And people kind of hate on Pollard a little bit for that. And also Pacheco, too. I think people are kind of sleeping on Pacheco. He was a second, third round pick last year. So, better value this year. Dropping down a few rounds. Appreciate the question, guys. Like, subscribe, share if you haven't already. I appreciate that as well. Appreciate the comments. If you guys are, watching this after the live, comment below. That helps as well. I'll answer anything you guys want. If you got week 1 questions, I'll definitely answer that. But we'll be doing more live drafts all the way up until the season starts. And during the year, we'll be doing some fab stuff. Fab every week. We'll have NFL picks and fab waiver wire. And we'll be doing some other stuff as well. So we also do college basketball on this channel, NBA stuff. So I appreciate everybody. All right, back to the draft. So after I took Pollard, a receiver run hit with Ridley, Pickens. I mean, the team, team 5 took 3 straight running backs. So obviously he needed to go get another receiver after Harrison. Then Sutton, Ibuka, Krosky, Merrick going in the 5th round over Pacheco and Aaron Jones. Wow. That's probably the earliest I've ever seen Krosky Merrick go. think the earliest I saw him go was 7th round. But again, the running backs go earlier in this, so you have to expect 6th, but 5th round. I mean, I think at that point, I think that when you're taking him over Pacheco, and you know what? Hey, could work out. They're both 7th round picks. Pacheco was a 7th round pick too. And maybe Merritt becomes the guy there, but you still have Eckler in the way. I don't like Chris Rodriguez. I think he reminds me of Benny Snell, and I think Bill can move over him, but he's probably going to be in the way a little bit to start the year. Whereas Pacheco, his path is clear. So, I mean, I don't see that. I mean, that just seems kind of a little too bold for me. So, Sean, you said Pollard over Pacheco. How about freaking Bill over Pacheco? I mean, that's even crazier. Okay, the receivers now. Got a couple good ones here. The running backs. Quarterbacks, we're just going to wait on at this point. We have Bowers, so we don't have to worry about tight end. Maybe the last round we'll take one more. In this format, it's kind of cool. You don't need to leave with a defense and a kicker. You just need to be legal by week 1, which is next week. But at least, I mean, depending on the draft and what's available as far as kickers and defense, maybe I'll take it and just set it. But maybe I'll just keep chasing upside, wait for a report like, a guy that's potentially going to play, or have a bigger role. Maybe something drops before the season, or, maybe an injury happens or something, So you just got to be legal by week 1. All right, I'm up here. Zay Flowers sitting there for me. I like it. Here in round 6. End of round 6, Zay Flowers. So far, the start is Garrett Wilson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Garrett Wilson, Ladd McConkey, Zay Flowers, Tony Pollard, Brock Bowers. Not that exact order, but that's the team so far with the 2-3 zone. And then we got, the tight end build there too with Bowers. So I like it. I think Zay was easily the best receiver on the board there. You got Judy and Olave, but the quarterback situations are not even close to being as good. Zay Flower, 3rd year now, could really break out. Kind of being disrespected a little bit. Only 4 touchdowns last year, which is crazy because Lamar threw 41. Bateman kept stealing all the touchdowns. And then Andrews kind of went nuts towards the end of the year too. So Zay Flowers, let's hope that he picks it up a little bit. All right, running back room now. Do I go back to running back or do I grab another receiver? Chris Olave is still there. Debo, Golden. I think I'm going to wait on receiver. I'm going to grab another running back again. The running backs fly here. Do I want to go Jordan Mason or do I want to go Caleb Johnson? Nobody likes Caleb Johnson anymore because Jaylen Warren and Kenny Gainwell and Aaron Rodgers is gonna yell at Caleb Johnson and bench him. Make sure he's not on the field. And everybody's kind of scared of Aaron Rodgers, not wanting the rookie to play. But he's the most different running back on the team. Jordan Mason has a nice role too. I mean, I think Jordan Mason is going to be in a 50-50 split in a better offense. I do have a decent amount of Jordan Mason, but I did a show with Ben last night. He's all in on Caleb Johnson. I like Caleb Johnson a lot. I kind of go against the grain with this one. I think it may take him a couple weeks maybe. But I do think he has that size, speed, and he's got some agility as well. To and he should be the goal line back. You don't really want to throw Warren and freaking Gainwell on the goal line, 2 smaller backs. Although they could still pass and open things up and pass to those guys in the end zone as well. But I think Caleb Johnson My prediction is based off his talent. By week 6, I think he's going to, earning a pretty solid role in that team, and may have a really, really strong finish to the year as well. So Jordan Mason's another guy I like to get to. I think that's going to be almost like a 50-50 split in that backfield, and he should get a lot of the goal line work as well. And I really like that offense. So I do like taking Jordan Mason. But let's go with Caleb. I was kind of drafting. I was kind of going after him. Then I laid off him a little bit. But now we're getting a little bit of value on him, where, he's kind of moving up. I mean, you used to have to get him in the 6th round. In this format, probably early on, he was going like 5th round. So he's dropping back a couple rounds now. So you're getting a little bit of the discount. Harvey was gone. If Harvey was there, I definitely would have took him. Yeah, if Harvey was there, definitely would have took him. Yeah, Sean, I agree. I like Harvey's. I think he has a little bit more upside too. Better offense, going to catch more passes. He's got like a 1-2 role with Dobbins, where Harvey in the beginning could be 3 guys, but he just wasn't available. I mean, he went in the 4th round. So there goes Mason. Debo to right there. So he starts Henry, Chase, McLaurin, Evans, Bill, which, he forced that pick, I think. But hey, maybe it'll work out. And maybe he felt like, he wasn't going to get him and he had to take him there and he wanted a share of him. Maybe he plays in a lot of these. So, I'm not going to totally hate on it. I just think overall, though, he's being steamed up too much. Aaron Jones, Debo, Ricky Pearsall has been steamed up. Ibuka has been steamed up. I mean, Ibuka, I was kind of like, all right, maybe he's being steamed up too much. But then, like, McMillan goes down. Godwin's not going to be back till we don't know when, sometime in October. So maybe week 6, week 7, week 8. We don't know. McMillan's not coming back to like week 10. Mike Evans is 32 years old. Maybe he's a little bit of hammy concerns. So it's like Ibuka now is just set up to get peppered with targets left and right. I mean, he's a good kid. Him and Baker's already been talking him up. It just seems like a smash. So for me, Ibuka is very, very justifiable there, the way he's been moving up with the opportunity he's going to get now. I mean, I got to start getting more of them. I keep missing out on him. I think the best value I got on him was, I don't know, maybe around 9 in one draft, like very early, early June, I think it was, or late May, Memorial Day weekend. Now he's 4 rounds up. And, he's kind of like the JSN. He's kind of like the St. Brown. He's going to work in the slot. He's not a guy that's going to burn the defense deep, but he's got reliable hands. He knows how to get open in zones. And he's just going to be a quarterback's a best friend. So Baker's going to need to use him, with all these injuries. And, it just makes a ton of sense right now. All right, so we're through 8 rounds. A minute 15 on the clock. It's also the longest clock, out of all these sites. I mean, you got DK and 30 seconds, or Underdogs 20 seconds. But most of the time, NFC and FFPC, it's a minute. They give you an extra 15 seconds here, which, I don't mind because it does move fast, and you're putting $300 in, so you should have some time to make a sound decision. And it helps me when I'm streaming because I'm answering questions and I'm trying to draft at the same time. T Swizz says, "Yo, what's up, man? Just ran a parlay, Georgia Tech, Baylor, and UNLV plus 380. How good do you feel about that? Because I may jump in on that with you. Baylor's at home, Tech's on the road against Colorado, UNLV. I forget who they're playing, but how good do you feel about that? Pretty good odds there. May do the same thing. Is that all money line there on that bet, or did you do it with the spreads?" All right, let's see what we're looking at here. Sean, QB by round 9 or later. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it's looking. Probably later than round 9, but we'll see what's off the board at that point. JSN is catching 100 balls this year. Most likely, he should. I mean, he should be Darnold's guy. I mean, Cooper Kupp. I mean, he's going to work underneath too. It's going to be interesting to see. Like, he doesn't have DK taking off the top of the defense now. Cooper Kupp's not really that guy, but maybe they get JSN deep more. I mean, he could do it. He's not like the fastest guy, but think about JSN. He tracks balls well, and he's reliable. He's got very, very reliable hands. All right. Jeez. Not a lot of good stuff on the board here. Let's take Cam Scatterbo. Might take him a couple weeks to get acclimated, but I really do think that underrated receiver. Again, you watched him in Texas last year, the way he ran that route. You don't see a lot of running backs doing that, giving that little inside jab to that corner, catching that 50-yard pass or 40-yard pass down the sideline. He's an underrated receiver, and you get him in the open field, he sheds tackles. So I think he's going to be a weapon for the Giants. Tracy didn't really finish the season so strong last year, had some fumbling issues. So again, Cam was out for a while with that hammy, but he's back now. Again, running back crazed room here. I want to get some depth before they all fly off, and that's one of the pieces I like. The running backs that are left aren't the best. So let's do that, and then we'll come back and grab a receiver here. Get our fourth receiver, and we got Godwin on the board. We got Jacoby Myers, Jaden Reed, who's playing with a broken foot. Godwin not back to week 7. Jacoby Myers now with Cooper, in the building. That he was demanding a trade. There he goes anyway. To why not? Why not? Why not? I think he's got a picture of Jacoby Myers too in his in his profile. Michael Pittman is not a bad one. Josh Downs as well. Mooney is finally back, which is interesting. There was he was just falling dramatically because nobody knew what the hell he was coming back. But it sounds like he's back for week 1. Missed last month and a half with that shoulder injury. So he's actually a pretty interesting one. I mean, he was 1,000-yard receiver with the Bears and Justin Fields. Had it, 900 yards last year. I think he missed a few games as well. And Penix, you protect him. Now they lost their left tackle, McGarry, but at least it's not his blind side. But still, that hurts the offense. And if you protect Penix, he'll pick you apart. But I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with Keon Coleman here. He could be the guy. I mean, he's going to be on the field a ton this year. He should be their number one receiver. Him or Shakir. Josh Palmer, I think he's had his opportunities in LA with the Chargers, and he really hasn't done much with it. I mean, he's had opportunities with Allen and Mike Williams out. Last year, he had a pretty good opportunity, didn't do much with it. So, Ladd just kind of jumped over him. So I feel like Keon's got more upside. Keon's the safer pick. Shakir, I don't know if his upside is capped. Certainly I like him a lot. He's not even available here. But I think Keon, again, I wasn't the biggest Keon guy coming out. I didn't like how he couldn't really separate. He's not a big separator, not the best route runner, which I don't really like that much. But he is good at 50-50 balls. He is a strong physical receiver, good after the catch. You catch some slant routes, break it. Also, he could be a nice piece for Allen in the red zone as well. He's their biggest receiver. He's their strongest receiver, at least now that Matt Collins is out of the way, who led the team in touchdowns last year. But, yeah, Keon Coleman, let's hope for a sophomore breakout. All the camp reports have been great. Again, I don't think he's going to be like this unbelievable talent in the NFL. But, play with Josh Allen, and they're kind of starving for a guy to kind of emerge there. And, again, it could just kind of be – Allen hitting a plethora of receivers again, which would happen, what happened last year, and a lot of running the football with James Cook. But I'll bank on Coleman there. I think he's one of the better picks. Downs and Pittman. I think Downs gets hurt by Warren. There was no Warren last year, so Warren's going to get a lot of targets. I mean, he's flying up drafts now. And justifiably, I mean, he's going to be solid. And then Pittman, you got Alec Pierce, you got Adonai Mitchell, who had a great camp. Like, these guys can emerge, and Pittman could kind of work underneath. Adonai is kind of more of a deeper route guy. Also, Pierce is kind of the same. So, and Daniel Jones doesn't like to throw the ball downfield, but I just feel with like Downs, Pittman, Warren there. It's like, I don't know really what Noah Pittman's going to do. But again, he's had a 1,000-yard season too, or maybe two. I think at least one of them. But I just think a lot more weapons. I think it helps him that Daniel Jones is in the building, because if Richardson was there, I was like, he'd be running a lot more. Jones is kind of just going to got balls underneath, which, Pittman can do. Pittman's that big target. So he'll definitely be a nice factor in the offense. I don't mind him. I just prefer the more upside. I think Coleman's got more upside. And then in these tournaments, I think that's what you want to chase. Sean, are you talking about the Bills? Somebody has to be the guy there. Yeah, I agree. I mean, or it could just be, spreading the ball around. But yeah, I mean, you would have to think, especially where they took him early second round. They traded back, I think, twice. They passed on Worthy, gave him to the Chiefs, and I think they traded back again. And that was a draft with, Ladd McConkey, Brian Thomas. They should have been traded up. I mean, even Worthy would have been nice with Josh Allen's arm. So, Coleman's got a lot on his shoulders here. He's got to step up and prove his draft capital, and the Bills got to, prove themselves right by where they took him as well. Again, I wasn't really thrilled with the pick. I thought they should have get more of a burner or more of a really crisp route runner. If they could have got Brian Thomas somehow or got McConkey, I mean, that just would have been an unbelievable connection. But we'll see how Keon works out. Randy Miller, appreciate you, man. Is Pickens and Abuka 3-4 turn too high? PPR 36-37. I think Abuka, yeah, I would say it's I mean, Pickens is I mean, I don't know, man. Like I would say it's probably a little bit too high, but I'm not gonna completely hate on it. Again, I think Abuka, obviously he's being steamed up dramatically. Now he's the hype machine, and now with all the injuries, I think round 5 is ideal for him because it's tough to take him over guys like Evans, um, Tyreek, guys like that. Again, this draft is a little bit different because the receivers fall. Um, but I would say it's probably a little bit too early for them. But if you wanted to reach up and take them, if you had a big belief on Ibuka and you haven't been getting them, or you feel like you may not get them and you're in the spot, I don't hate it. I just feel like there's going to be a lot of guys that are probably more secure picks. I mean, even Pickens, like we're all excited about him going to Dallas, and for good reason. The best quarterback situation he's ever been in. He could easily finish with double digit touchdowns. And I've loved George Pickens. I've drafted a ton of him the past couple of years, but he's just a little bit of a head case and supposedly has the same agent as Parsons, which we all know about how Jerry and Parsons' agent got down. I think that's one of the reasons why Parsons is not here anymore. I think that agent must have really pissed Jerry off. Supposedly Pickens, I heard somebody say that Pickens has the same agent as him, but just my point being, he's a little bit of a head case. There's some concerns there, but as far as the talent, he could go nuts. I mean, he could be better than a lot of these guys that are going ahead of him. So I think Pickens probably has a little bit more upside than Abuka. Um, but Abuka, man, I mean, he could catch a ton of passes with all these freaking injuries. But then you say like down the stretch, right? With Abuka, if McMillan comes back week 9, and don't forget McMillan, he caught like 7 touchdowns his last 6 games. I thought he was kind of being undervalued. And Godwin comes back week 7. What's that going to look like for Abuka? So that's why I think Pickens is the safer pick there. If you want to do the 3-4 turn, either way, I think it's kind of early for both. But if you wanted to do it, I don't hate it. But Abuka, I would say try to keep him in the 5th round just because, it may start really well, but once they get healthier, um, he could maybe start to fade a little bit down the stretch as far as production because you're getting McMillan, who's talented in his own right. You could argue he's the best receiver coming out of Washington. I mean, he had the better season last year over Dunze. Now, Baker Mayfield versus Caleb Williams. Baker's more established. But I mean, Williams had a great freaking year, man. And he's kind of being forgot about. So he'll be back at some point, you would think, and then Godwin too. But then again, maybe McMillan keeps getting extended. Maybe he doesn't come back to week 12, week 13. Maybe Godwin keeps getting extended. Maybe he gets re-injured too. So I think 3-4 to answer, finally answer your question is one more time is 3-4 turns a little bit too early. I'm not going to hate if you want to do it. I think it could certainly work out, but I think, towards the end of round 4 or in round 5 is where I prefer those two more so. But thanks for the question, man. Hope you have a great Labor Day weekend. Randy says, my only concern is those guys aren't making it to 5-6 that since I'm picking at 12. Yeah, I mean, there you go. So, get your guys, right? So if you don't feel like you're going to get them, if you want to grab them, I don't hate it. There's probably some better picks on the board there, like I said. But if you wanted to do it and you have if you trust them, if you have a good conviction about them, then I don't hate it. Let me bring up another board for you to look at, and I'll show you where these guys are going in this draft. After I make these picks here. I'm up here. See what quarterbacks are left. Round 10. Running backs. Let's take Darnell Mooney. Still sitting there. I like it. Yeah, Pickens, I would say you definitely have to take, at that 3-4 turn. You're not going to get Ibuka because he's going to get taken in round 5, so he's not going to come back to you most likely. So if you wanted to do it, man, I'm with it. Being that you're in the 12th spot there. That makes more sense. But yeah, Buka most of the time go in the 5th. You'll see Pickens in the 4th, 5th. But he's getting steamed up now too, and then he might even get steamed up more now with that Parsons trade. Appreciate your insight. I appreciate you, man. Yeah, it depends on the site. I usually filter to NFC or Underdog. Yeah, that's why I was going to bring up the NFC site. That's a great ADP tool that they have for sure to use. I guess you could say it kind of feels early for Ibuka, but like you said, if you want to get him, go do it. All right, we're up again. Josh Downs still there. We have our roster is 5 receivers, 4 running backs, a tight end, no quarterback yet. I'm wondering if I could wait one more round to take a quarterback or if I have to do it here. The guy that I want to get. You know what? I'm going to get him now just to make sure I get the stack here with Garrett Wilson. And let's go Justin Fields. And I'll explain why I've taken Justin Fields in most of my drafts in a second. And why I like the Garrett Wilson stack. I just want to bring up this board. Yeah, so this is the NFC. This is the RotoWire Online Championship, which is basically the same your point, $50 more in the Fantasy Life Championship. But yeah, as you see, the last week, August 17th to August 29th, Pickens is always going to the 4th, Buka's in the 5th. So that 3-4 turn, like I said, you're passing on a T Higgins possibly. I'm sorry. You're passing. Yeah, you're passing. Well, this is 3rd round reversal too, so that's a little bit different as well. Because that's the first pick of the 12th round. So, yeah, Worthy could be there, I guess. It depends really who's falling. I don't know. It's tough to say, man. Generally it's early. But again, I'm not going to hate on it because I think both those guys have tremendous upside. So I'm with you, man. But yeah, you see here, this format's different because first off, it's 6 points for passing touchdown, which is different. And then it's also 3rd round reversal. So instead of the first team having the first pick of the 3rd round, the 12th team has the first pick of the 3rd round. So that kind of throws this out off a little bit, I guess, but for you anyway, because you're in the 12th spot. Normally you have to, it would be in reverse. So I guess you're looking at what Ted McMillan, um, Devontae Adams, Worthy, Evans, McLaurin. Yeah, it's tough, man. Those are some good receivers right there. Even Sutton, solid. I would say, I don't think you want to take him over Adams. Generally, Worthy and Evans or McLaurin. But again, I don't know how many drafts you've been doing. If you've been doing a lot of drafts, you don't feel like you can get a piece of them, or you really want a piece of those guys. Go for it. Why not? Get your guys, and that's it. Because these guys have concerns too. Adams, what if Stafford goes down? Worthy, I like Worthy, but once Rice comes back, they may hurt him. Evans is 32 years old. McLaurin is 30, 30, 31. Debo's in the building now. Maybe Daniels takes a step back. Sutton's getting a little bit older. Um, so there's a lot of good names. Even JMO I like a lot, man. Um, Devonta's, very, very steady. Zay could have a breakout. Waddle, I think he gets hurt by Tua. Um, DK, is he a good fit with Rogers? That remains to be seen. Calvin Ridley with Cam Ward, that should be a nice connection. But Ridley, is he the same guy he was like back in 2019? He did say, the gambling suspension kind of woke him up a little bit, and he had 1,000 yards with freaking Will Levis. So what's he going to do with Cam Ward? It almost seems like a Terry McLaurin, Jaden Daniels thing with Cam Ward and Ridley. It kind of seems like that, where Ridley could just really have a big, big year. So he's kind of interesting. JMO, the guy, when you watch him on tape with Xavier Worthy, it's like he looks faster. So yeah, it's interesting. I don't want to, this is another site, so I want to respect RT Sports here, and we'll bring back the board here. But all good sites: NFC, FFPC, FFWC, RT Sports, all great sites to draft on. All a little bit different. Randy says, "What's your favorite spot to draft this year? That 1-2 turn is super deep with receiver." Um, I kind of want to be. I think I want to be within the first 10 picks, but if I had to pick a spot there, I would say generally, um, yeah. I mean, the back end you could have a really nice team. There's no doubt. I just think it's nice to get a piece of Bijan or Gibbs or Chase. Um, so I would say like top 7 for me generally. And if I had to pick maybe like the 7th spot, because you could still come away with one of these really good receivers or running backs if CMC falls or if Jefferson falls, or you can take Neighbors. You can get a Bucky Irving or a Jonathan Taylor in the second round, and then take a nice secure pick in the third round with Allen. So maybe the 7th spot, right in the middle there. I kind of don't really care where I'm at. I just think this year, I don't know if I want to be at the back end of drafts. Um, Even in third round reversal, I don't really even like it that much. I don't know, for some reason, because I guess Puka goes in that range, and I don't know. There's something off about the 11, 12 this year for me. Um, but if I could get like Drake London and Nico, my first 2 picks out of the 12 spot, I'd be fine with that. So yeah, I mean, it could work from any spot really. But I think 1 through 10 I prefer, and then a little bit more than that, like 1 through 7, and then maybe right in the middle at 7. All right, we're back up here. I was going to take Brian Robinson at running back last round. And, Fields could have fell to me here. So maybe that was the move. I just wanted to make sure I got that stack. Kind of been missing out on it. So I reached for it a little bit there. Do I go back-to-back quarterbacks here? Grab another running back. The running backs, Jesus. Running backs are not good, man. All right, you know what? Let's grab Will Shipley because the running backs are going in this draft. I mean, I'm not really worried about Saquon, but I mean, did get a ton of usage. So if he starts to break down a little bit, maybe misses a couple weeks. Maybe they kind of mix in Shipley a little bit more. I mean, he's a talented kid. I like Shipley coming out of Clemson. So it's just a good depth pick there. I got 5 running backs now, which I feel pretty good about. I like this running back room. I think it's pretty solid. I like my receiver room. I got my stack. I got Brock Bowers, so I'm kind of liking this build so far. We'll see how he finishes off. Now I could have took Tajay Spears there too, since I have Pollard, and I could still take him here too as well. But I mean, he's going to miss a month. Do I want to really have him sit on my bench for a month? And I'm not really a big Tajay Spears guy. I don't know. I mean, the guy doesn't even have an ACL, so he's always getting hurt. I think he's okay. And I don't think I think he's a little overrated by the fantasy community. I think Pollard's just way ahead of him talent wise, or at least substantially ahead of him talent wise. There was talks of more Tajay Spears this year, and they will need to use him for sure. And he will be a good cuff if Pollard goes down. I just don't know if I want to wait for a month for him. But we'll see what the other options are. I mean, he's one of the better choices on the board here at running back. There's not a lot of good running backs. I could double up on quarterback here as well. Is there another running back I want to take? I mean, a receiver here. Receivers, Trey Harris, Luther Burden, Ayuk still sitting there. He's going to miss, 6 weeks. Receivers, not crazy about any of these guys. Bateman's not a bad one. Tesla. I don't know. I'll take Spears. I guess it makes sense since I have Pollard. Why not? I don't really ever take him. But I mean, maybe he comes back after a month. Maybe Pollard gets hurt, and then I have the Titan starter again. So the guy can't seem to stay on the field. He's always battling something. Randy says, who are like your top 3 guys this year, both at wide receiver and running back? Guys, you're super high. Top 3 running backs would be CMC, Bijan, and Gibbs. I would. I mean, that's tough. How do you leave Barkley? I mean, Barkley's got to be in there. It's tough. It's tough. I would be fine with any combo of those 3 in any which direction because I feel like they all could finish RB1. I would say Gibbs probably has the most upside. Um, if you give Gibbs 350 carries, he'll, with his legs and the amount of passes he's going to catch, I mean, he could run for 2,000 yards. He could freaking, you know, I mean, he could be like close to 3,000 total yards if something happened to Montgomery. He was out there. I mean, it'd just be an insane type of season. So I feel like he has the most upside. CMC obviously has the injury concerns, but he could definitely finish at RB1. Barkley could do it, and Bijan could as well. So I would say, you got to put those four guys in there. And that receiver, I would say Neighbors has a chance. Brian Thomas too. If you're not picking Chase, Lamb, or Jefferson, I would say Jefferson definitely, and Chase. I say that maybe the one guy that could get knocked out is Lamb, in my opinion. Maybe for Neighbors or Brian Thomas or even London, I think could be in the mix there, for top three. Also, Nico. If Nico keeps getting hurt every year, if he plays a full season, now they do bring in Higgins and Christian Kirk. Um, so there's some new weapons in town, but they did have weapons there last year. But Tank Dell got hurt, and then Diggs got hurt. Their offensive line was a mess. Now their offensive line, I don't know what it's going to look like this year because they traded away a lot of talent like Tunzel. But I heard Tunzel was like a troublemaker on the team, and they had to ship him off. But yeah, I would say Neighbors, man, like he's got to be. I was talking about JMO and his speed. Neighbors, I think, has the best acceleration of any receiver I've ever seen. Or it's just Chase's has unbelievable acceleration too, but I think Neighbors might be even better. It's crazy. So we'll see what that looks like with Russ and Dart, but Dart looks good. So if Russ gets benched at some point, or even Jameis Winston has to come in. I mean, Neighbors, I feel like he's got wide receiver one upside. So I would say, those guys, and I would say maybe Lamb could get knocked out of the top three there. Super high on at receiver, I would say, other than obviously the three usual guys, Lamb, Jefferson, and Chase, I would say, London, I think I really have high hopes for Penix. I think, and, London had a pretty damn good year last year. And Penix, I feel like, if they protect him right, he could definitely throw 30 touchdowns. So, and Baldinger was at the camp, and he's just like, all his freaking Penix is doing is throwing to freaking Drake London all day long. Just constant Drake London. And that's kind of what we saw when Penix stepped in. So, yeah, I would say I'm pretty high on Drake London. It's just I keep missing out on him. Brian Thomas, very, very high on. I mean, he's different. Pearsall, I like a lot. I feel like he might run the best out route in the NFL. And, Jennings he's just a really good route runner. Jennings is banged up and Debo's gone. And so he's going to get a lot of work. There was a great rapport with him and Purdy in the preseason. Jameson Williams, I think he could really go nuts. So I'm pretty high on him too. I've been getting JMO. And then at running back, Kenny Walker, I feel like Kenny Walker is a guy with so much upside. He's just the injury concerns, but he could really have a huge year. Pollard, who I took in this draft, I feel like he's very, very safe and a great value, usually in the 6th round. This one, he goes in the 5th. Earlier, you were getting him in the 7th. And then Pacheco, I'm not really high on, but I think he's a pretty safer pick than last year where you had to take him 2nd, 3rd round. Now you get a three round discount. Camp Scatterbo, I really like his, what he could do in the passing game. Ridley, again, I think it's kind of a no-brainer with Ridley if you really think about it. If he went for 1,000 with Levis, what's he going to do with Cam Ward? And it's not like any of those other guys are really scary in that building. Lockett maybe have a little bit of resurgence. A. Manor, but Ridley's the established veteran there, so I don't know. It's just a lot of people are really high on him, and for good reason. And a lot of people are high on Abuka too, and I wasn't so high on him. I tend to not like get crazy about like slot receivers, but they're great for fantasy, and his opportunity is undeniable right now. All right, back on the board. The quarterbacks went. I was thinking about Drake May there. Who I want to start getting a little bit more of. Let's go to let's take JJ McCarthy and get a backup quarterback. So we'll go with JJ and Fields, and I wanted to explain the Fields Wilson combo. I'll do that after this pick, and then we'll talk about JJ McCarthy a little bit too. Start with JJ. I really like JJ McCarthy. His talent, I think he could very accurate. He's got a pretty good arm. He could make the NFL throws. He could throw to the boundaries. I mean, the weapons. Addison. Yeah, he's gonna miss a month or 3 weeks. But you're gonna have Jefferson in the building. They bring in Thielen, which is great for him. Hawkinson. You got the quarterback whisperer. McCarthy can run. We've seen what he did with Josh Dobbs and Nick Mullins throw for 300 yards. We see what he did for Darnold. So I just feel like McCarthy, I don't see how he fails. I just don't see it. I feel, and with the running upside, he's going to run, maybe for 300-400 yards possibly, and maybe 3, 4, 5 touchdowns. So even if he doesn't throw for a ton of yards, and they're a little bit more run heavy this season, he could really just be a solid QB2 for you. And that's kind of like when I take a Fields, I like to combo him with a Drake May or a Herbert or a McCarthy. I'm not just solely relying on Fields as my QB1, although I'm looking to start him most weeks. But in a 20-round draft, you have the option to take 2 quarterbacks. Because a lot of these guys are going to get taken. So there's not going to be that many good quarterbacks in the waiver wire, in a smaller league. All right, appreciate everybody coming in. We're gonna take this pick here, and then we'll talk about this Justin Fields, Garrett Wilson stack that I did. You could love it or hate it. Most people are probably gonna hate it, but I'll tell you why I like it. Oh, I wanted to take this guy. Is he still available? I think this is a really good pick. This receiver here. And I do have Zay Flowers, so it makes sense. Take Rashad Bateman here in the 15th round. Good value there for Rashad Bateman. Former first-round pick, 9 touchdowns last year. Lamar, best quarterback season we've seen from him by far. He was just on fire. I know Hopkins is in the building, but Bateman, he could even kind of keep going. I mean, he could even keep building on what he did last year. So I really like him as a late round receiver pick. Trey Harris could definitely emerge there at some point in that offense. It's kind of having a slow camp, slow preseason, but then that last preseason game looked pretty good. Made that nice catch. That's kind of what you saw from Trey Harris. Good 50-50 ball guy at Ole Miss. So he could emerge. You got Keenan Allen, you got Ladd, and Quentin Johnson still hanging around. They're going to run the football. All right, so anyway, back to Fields and Wilson. The reason I like it is Fields 2 years ago, DJ Moore had 1,400 yards, and it was similar wide receiver room where it was basically DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, Tyler Scott, forget who they're Dante Pettis, Cole Kmet, um, the running back room, I think it was, I don't know, Roshan Johnson and Montgomery was already gone by then. I forget who the other running back was. But there wasn't that much talent. And Mooney was hurt for again, he's always hurt, missed like 4 or 5 games. But DJ Moore had a career season. And DJ Moore, was always solid in Carolina. The quarterback play was always terrible. And think about it, he played with Baker and Darnold too. He just never really had that true breakout year. His touchdowns were always low. He was going for 1,000 yards every year, but his touchdowns were always low. And that was one of my that was like my biggest stack that year with Fields and Moore. And Moore was great. I mean, Moore, 1,400 yards, I think 8 touchdowns or 9 touchdowns. And Fields was having a pretty good season too. I think 16 touchdowns running. I mean, passing 9 picks, but he also ran, I don't know, for like maybe 500, 600 yards that year. But he missed a month. If he didn't miss a month, he would have finished way higher. And the reason he missed a month because Daniel Hunter sacked him, and I think he broke his middle finger. I forget what he broke something. Hunter just bullied him, bodied him to the ground. Daniel Hunter's a beast. But DJ Moore was going off, man. I mean, and there was that 1 week where DJ Moore had 3 touchdowns. So they had a really good connection going. And Fields really, really focused on DJ Moore and hitting him a lot. And DJ Moore is good after the catch. And Garrett Wilson's also good after the catch. Garrett Wilson also has speed and separation skills. I know it didn't look good in the preseason, but what are you going to do? Judge, like 5, 6 throws? You can't do that. I mean, and think about it, these two played together at college. They know each other. They have a rapport. It's not like Aaron Rodgers. Again, Wilson had a ton of targets last year, but then once Adams came into town, it kind of, ruined or hurt, Wilson's total upside. He probably would have finished a lot stronger if Adams never came into town and probably would have had his career season. So I think Garrett Wilson can have a career season for where I got him here in the 4th round. I like it a lot. Again, normally in the 3rd, sometimes in the 2nd, depending on, certain builds or whatnot. But yeah, I mean, Fields, I think, is a great late round value. Only one of 3 quarterbacks to run for 1,000 yards, has the highest rushing total in a single game by a quarterback. He's finished QB 1 a couple times. I think he finished QB 6 one year, or maybe I don't even know what it is. But I just know that whenever Justin Fields is out there, he's giving you fantasy football points because of his rushing upside. So, whatever you think about him as a real life quarterback, you got to kind of throw that out the window and just think fantasy and his rushing upside. I mean, Tyrod Taylor's the backup. Are they really going to go to Tyrod Taylor? I mean, if that would be the worst case scenario. I don't think Fields is that bad where he's going to get benched by Tyrod Taylor. I actually have high hopes for Fields that he kind of, shows out a little bit this year. Like, remains a steady quarterback. He's never going to wow you with a ton of passing yards and, be an all-time big-time quarterback in this league. But I think he could be a steady, solid starter in this league. And I think this is truly his opportunity to do it. Aaron Glenn's giving him the shot. The Jets are giving him the shot. Now it's the Jets. Everything can go wrong. It could be a total shit show, 100% with the Jets. But I think there'll be some stability this year with Aaron Glenn. And I think Fields could have a career season. And I think Garrett Wilson could have a career season. So it's not a popular stack either, which is good. I don't think most people are going after it. And, you could even do the Breece Hall, Justin Fields, Garrett Wilson stack if you wanted to. Maybe that's getting a little too crazy. But, yeah, that's why I like it. I just think there's a lot of upside. Fields is safe with his rushing prowess, and we haven't seen Garrett Wilson's best season yet as a pro either. So I think it could all happen this year. All right. Coming back up, Or I'm back on the clock after that explanation. Said I wanted to take a second tight end. I haven't been drafting a lot of this guy. I know I have Brock Bowers. Just checking the receivers here. Round 16. Shit. Let's go with Mason Taylor. Switch it up. I don't know. I mean, he's a rookie tight end. He kind of reminds me of Dalton Schultz, like a better Dalton Schultz. We've seen Dalton Schultz have some pretty good years with the Cowboys when he's getting a lot of targets. So maybe that's similar with Mason Taylor. I mean, it's just Garrett Wilson and Alan Lazard, and Fields does like the tight end. Again, Cole Kmet, tight end for the Bears, had a career season with Justin Fields as well. So Fields was also hitting the tight ends a lot in preseason. So, Mason Taylor, why not? I may not, have to use him, but just a depth pick there. The question is, where are we going to come back here at running back? We haven't taken one in a while. The last one we took was Spears. There's a couple of receivers I like too. If this receiver's still here, I'm going to hit on him. Over the running back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 running backs. Oh, no, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 running backs. Yeah, we'll have to take one more. But not this round. We'll see what comes back to us on the way back. Both these guys that I want are probably going to be gone. But I really want this receiver. So there's a couple of receivers I like here. Man. So it's either Jarquez Hunter, Rashard Smith, Kyle Williams, or Kyle Williams. Let's go Kyle Williams. Now Diggs is there, Douglas is there, Henry's there. It may take Williams. He might be just kind of buried there. But maybe he's talented, more talented than Pop Douglas. I kind of think he is. And he kind of earns his way onto the field. But now Pop's kind of set up for that slot role, and he's been there a few years. But Kyle Williams may show out, and they may just have to keep him on the field. Diggs, we don't know. He's 31, coming off a ACL injury. Could re-aggravate something. It's quite possible. Then Kyle Williams gets onto the field as well. So I think it's a good upside pick here late. Patriots offense should be a lot better this year. And I really liked what I saw out of Kyle Williams in college. So we'll finish this draft off. Running back. Again, I don't have to take a kicker in a defense. It's got to be legal by week 1. That's probably what I'll do. Unless there's a certain defense that I really like a lot that I want to make sure I get a nice matchup with in week 1. Maybe I'll take a defense and just pass on the kicker. That's probably what I'll do. But we'll see. We'll see what's available when it comes back to me. But I appreciate everybody coming in here this afternoon or early this evening. Sean, Randy, T Swizz. Good luck on your parlay, man. I may take that. Follow you on that one. Starts at 8 o'clock. By the way, his parlay, if you guys want to jump on it, Tech, Georgia Tech, Baylor, and UNLV plus 380. Debbie, appreciate seeing you. Good to see you. Al, Jamie, Jose, Hideout Wrestling. I don't know what you were talking about earlier, but good to see you, bro. And TS as well, who was the first commenter. So thanks, everybody. Hopefully you come back again. Check me out. We'll have more live drafts. We'll be around all season. Have some different guests as well. But this is kind of what I like to do. I like to draft. I kind of like the live draft game and just kind of talking about fantasy this way and just going through the board and, not expecting anything crazy from this YouTube page, but the subscribers have been going up. I brought this channel back to life a couple of months ago. We went from like 80 subscribers to over 600 in a couple of months. So pretty good. Just by doing some live drafts, a couple times a week. So I appreciate everybody for subscribing. Really, it's awesome. And we'll try to do some give backs and some other things. We'll get creative as we keep moving along here. All right, there's the board. Sorry about that, guys. If you the board was cut off, the board is back again. If somebody wants to comment, show the board. Rewatching this, that's cool. If I did cut it off, but I appreciate you commenting either way. Hour and 30. These drafts definitely go longer because of that minute 15 clock. But let's look at some of the builds now. Team 12: Nico Puka, Kenny Walker, Tetaroa, DK Worthy, Tyler Warren, Dobbins, Blue, Tootin, Mitchell, White. His running back room is a little scary, but his receivers and Warren is very nice. And then he gets Drake May and Bryce Young later on. I mean, it's a good strategy. I mean, you could definitely wait on quarterback and just couple a couple of those guys and just play matchups and just hope one of them really kind of shines, rather than paying the premium for the quarterback, in the beginning of the draft. I kind of see both sides. It's always safer to get the Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, especially in a round where a lot of guys could really, hurt you, like DeAndre Swift in the third round, which is crazy. Never seen that before. But you could wait. You take two of these guys to get the right combo, and it could really work out. There goes Jackson Dart in round 18. Wow. I mean, that's I guess he figures Russ is going to get benched like week 2, week 3, and he doesn't have to pay the fab. I mean, hey, why not? Be a little different. My kids are banging on the door. That's why I kind of like to do these drafts after 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock when they go to bed. But, got to get in early. Got another draft coming up, and I wanted to get a draft in because, a lot of people will be drafting tonight, tomorrow, Sunday, next week as well. So wanted to get this out there for you guys. Yeah. One more build here. This is a nice one. Sniper out of the 8-hole. Seven-hole. Jefferson, Bucky, Allen, JSN, Abuka, Jamo, Mason, Ingram. Again, running back room. Yeah, I mean, he got some good guys. I mean, Bigsby could, Javante could be the starter there for all year. Chubb, I mean, Tesla. It's a good build there. Thielen, not a bad late pick. Yeah, some good teams here. I played in 2 of these last year. The one team had the best record, um, I think all year until like the last 2 weeks. I think I fell into like the 2 spot. But I was like leading all year. I forgot what happened. I don't know. I don't know why my team fell off at the end a little bit. Um, and then I made the playoffs. Top 4 makes the playoffs in this, and then I lost in the first round of the playoffs. So I didn't win anything. But I had a really good team. I think my record was, I don't know, 12, 10 and 2, I think. Or maybe 11 and 3. I think I was 10 and 2. I got to look back, but I just remember I finished in second place overall. I made the playoffs and I didn't win in the playoffs and I got knocked out. All right. Yeah, those running backs are gone. Not good. Uh, I will take Rams D here. In the 18th round. I want to get a positional player here now. I wanted to get another running back. I just don't like any of these guys at all. Trevor Etienne, Kenneth Gainwell, Elijah Mitchell. Actually, this one's not bad. Emmanuel Wilson's not a terrible one. With Marshawn Lloyd, the guy just cannot stay healthy. If something happens to Jacobs, I mean, he's going to be in a nice role. Be my first share of Emmanuel Wilson. Yeah, I like it. I'm going to go with him if he's there. Hopefully, he lasts to me. Harold Fannin is another one I could click on too. I need 3 tight ends. I really like the upside of Fannin. But I have freaking, I'd like to get him in every single draft. And again, I could take him here, maybe in the 20th if he's still there. I'm going to bypass the kicker here. I don't know. Maybe I'll just get my kicker. I mean, the season starts next week, right? So it's like, do I want to spend? I mean, what if I spend $1 on a kicker anyway? It's not going to cost me anything. I just hope for some. All right, let's take that running back, and then we'll decide if we're going to go kicker or one more positional player with our last pick. Again, just got to be legal by week 1 with the kicker. Come on. Make the pick. Yeah, I don't really see anything else out there that I'm too thrilled with. I backed up Pollard. Gibbs, but Vaki. Vaki. There's no backup for Cam. I already have a backup in Shipley. Yeah, Caleb. Yeah, my running back room is. Let's take Emmanuel Wilson. It makes sense. Again, Marshawn Lloyd, I don't know what this guy's deal is. He cannot stay healthy. So Jacobs, think about it, had a huge workload last year. Um, They'll probably give Wilson some reps, but Jacobs had a huge workload last year. A couple years ago, he did that with Oakland or Vegas. Or were they in Oakland at that time? I don't know. Was that before they moved to Vegas? Either way, he wasn't the same the following year after he had that monster season. Just was not the same. Missed some time. So you never know. I mean, he had a huge year, looked absolutely great last year. Maybe he wears out a little bit this year. Maybe Wilson gets an opportunity. So I think it's a good cuff there and a good offense and a team that wants to run the football and that could open up holes. And Wilson's not bad. I mean, he's not, he's not the most talented guy, but he's pretty solid. I do like Marshall and Lloyd, but again, the guy just can't stay freaking healthy. Let's look at some of these builds again. Um, I liked Team 7 and Team 12. Pretty nice. Um, no, I was just looking at Team 3. I was like, oh, that's pretty good. I forgot it was my team. Of course, you're gonna like your own team because it's all the guys you like. Um, Team 2 takes Lamar in the second round. So some interesting things in this draft. Lamar goes in the second. Swift goes in the third. Ahead of Kenny Walker and R.J. Harvey, James Conner, Chuba Hubbard, Tony Pop. I mean, it's crazy. Pacheco, it's not my cup of tea. Um, Swift has kind of failed being a full time running back. We had 3 good weeks last year. I mean, if they utilize him in the pass game a ton, but again, they're gonna have so many different weapons. How much they're gonna really utilize him in the pass game? So I don't know. We'll see. Um, the Bears offense did seem to have the most success when they were like dumping off the Swift last year, though. But that's not what they want to do. Just like the Dolphins should not want to just dump it off to Achan every single time when you have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Um, Team 5 starts 3 running backs with CMC, Taylor, Hampton, Harrison, Pickens, Hunter. Nah, I don't really like that build. Too many question marks there. Um, the number 1 team, Chase, Brown, Kyron, Daniels. So no Burrow stack for him. I feel like when you have Chase and when you get into the one spot, you're not going to really ever get that. So it's like you got to get Burrow and just stack it up. I feel like you just have to. I mean, you don't have to, but I think that's makes the most sense. And you're seeing some people go Chase, Higgins, Burrow, which is unique. But probably, with everybody starting to draft, these things starting to fill more and more. You're going to see a lot of more of that combo. Um, so I don't know how I feel about that team. But teams 12 and team 7, I like. Team 4, Barkley, Adams, Henderson, Kittle, Ridley. Okay, Racy Rice in the 6th. That's a solid spot for him. Golden, ETN, Allen. The quarterbacks I'm not crazy about, though. Caleb and Stroud. I mean, Caleb could be good by default for fantasy, even if the Bears struggle. Stroud, I don't, he has no rushing upside. At least Caleb can run. So I don't really like that quarterback combo there. I much prefer like what this guy did with Drake May and Bryce because you got rushing upside with both guys. I mean, this could be better, but I don't know. I like Drake more than Caleb in fantasy. And Stroud's gonna be the better. I don't know. I mean, Bryce Young, ran for 6 touchdowns last year, 5, 6 touchdowns. So, he's got that rushing upside. Finished the year strong. They add McMillan. Don't like that quarterback combo there. All right, we're up. Do we want to end with a kicker or we want to go positional? Um, See what kickers are left. Jags kicker. You know what? Let's just take a shot. Let's take a shot on Roman Wilson because maybe there'll come some reports that he's going to get a lot of snaps and um, you know he's going to be heavily involved in the offense, yada yada. And then maybe I don't know who I'm going to cut. Maybe I'd cut Kyle Williams and keep Roman. I don't know, but or if there's an injury of some sort, we could figure out. But that's going to wrap it up. 20 rounds. Guys, we'll go over my team. Thank you, everybody, for joining me tonight. I shouted out everybody earlier. Oh, we got a question here from none other than Jungle Nuts. What's up, man? Welcome to the show. I got Prescott, Gibbs, Taylor, Hill, JSN, Evan Ingram, and Xavier Worthy in a 10-man league. Should I make any changes? Well, who else do you have? Who's on your bench? Um, Gibbs and Taylor is, nothing wrong with that. Obviously, it's a 10-man league. Everything's a little better, but Gibbs and Taylor is a great combination, obviously, regardless in any format. Tyreek, there is some concerns there. But certainly, this guy still could be one of the most elite receivers in the league. I think Tua does hold him back a little bit. Ingram, I think, should be a solid piece because should get the second most targets there in Denver. Worthy's very nice as your third receiver. JSN's solid. So I don't know. I mean, I guess the two guys I may have qualms about are Tyreek, Prescott. Dak's getting up there in age. Is he going to be able to throw for over 4,000 yards and throw for 30 touchdowns? You would think because they bring Pickens in the room and now they get rid of Parsons. They're going to have to chuck and chuck and chuck. But he's also injury prone too. He's been getting banged up. So you can keep Prescott and you keep Hill. Obviously, maybe, but maybe you want to add another quarterback if you can. I don't know what's on your bench, but maybe you could play some matchups just in case, Dak's not, maybe he's getting like the 1 touchdown, 2 touchdown, like 250-yard game. And maybe there's some better options there on the bench with guys with more rushing upside because Dak doesn't run as much. So maybe like if JJ McCarthy's out there or, Drake May or Fields, I mean, these guys have more rushing upside. So that's something possibly you could do. Maybe just add another quarterback to that roster. But I don't know how many bench spots you have. I don't know who you have on your bench, so it might be tough to do. But certainly a nice build there, man. Again, 10-man leagues could always look a little bit nicer, but I think you got some good players there. I think you're going to need Tyreek to be Tyreek. If Tyreek's Tyreek, you're going to have a really freaking good team. Potentially, contend for Super Bowl. And you're going to need Prescott to obviously bounce back as well. But like I said, if you could add another quarterback, I think that's the one change I would make. All right, that's going to do it, guys. Thanks, everybody, for the questions tonight. Thanks for Jungle Nuts for jumping in late. Like, subscribe, share. Follow me on X at Fantasy Savvy. I will be doing more of these as well. If you guys are watching this on replay, comment below. Let me know what build you like the best. I'm going to leave the draft board up for a little while. We'll play a little music, then we're going to get out of here. Again, follow me on X at Fantasy Savvy. Hit the notification button. We'll be back for more live drafts all the way up until Friday, maybe next week. And then during the season, we'll have Fab, NFL picks, some other stuff as well. College basketball coming, NBA talk as well down the line. But take care, everybody. We'll see you next